Hey, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing the 2020 mock draft, my second one of the year. The last one I did on Christmas got over 8,000 views, which was insane. Thank you very much for all that. The next video I did after that was the Dolphins video, which is almost at 10,000 views at the time of recording, which is just crazy. So I figured now we're kind of a month past. People are starting to declare for the draft now, and we have a good sense of where people are going to go. Especially because of college football ending. So now it's just time for the offseason, and this is where we kind of get into more and more mock drafts. I haven't uploaded in almost a week, which is very unfortunate. I apologize for that. I was supposed to put out the podcast this week, and I recorded the podcast, and the file got corrupted, and it was a whole mess. But I'm back with a mock draft. I figured if I'm going to miss almost a week, I got to come back with something good, and that's going to be my second mock draft of the year. These are not what I think the team is going to do. This is what I think the teams should do if I was the GM, if that makes sense to anyone. So if you haven't already, make sure you go down and leave a like on the video. If you want to wait till the end, that is fine by me, but make sure to subscribe as well and turn on notifications if you'd like, because we're going to be covering the draft and the offseason moves all throughout this NFL offseason up until April, where we can go on past there and kind of grade the grades of the draft. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and of course, leave some comments down below. I do 7-round mock drafts for teams. I have one set up for the Browns, which will be the next team. I do ranking videos, which I'm going to wait on because last time I did the rankings, I already made the running back rankings, and ETN and Herbert are both going back to college, so now it's messed up. So I'm waiting on that, but leave some teams down in the comments, and of course, leave comments down below. Let me know who your team picked, who you think they should pick, how you think it would go. Just give your opinions. I love conversating in the comment section. We've had a lot of good conversations going, so that's very good. So without further ado, I'm not going to hold it back anymore, and we all know who the first overall pick is. Joe Burrow, out of LSU. I mean, the kid is just insane. He was so special in that championship game. I mean, even the play early on when it got called back for illegal man downfield, I mean, he just escapes the pocket incredibly well, and that's not even his signature. He's just got a great arm, great talent. He's the surefire #1 overall pick for the Cincinnati Bengals. You can pretty much pencil it in. There's not much else to say about it. We all know Joe Burrow's greatness, and Bengals fans should already be getting ready for those jerseys. But in some fantasy world, there is a way that, because I don't think he's the best talented player in this draft. I think the guy who's going next is the most talented player in the draft. But Joe Burrow is the no-nonsense first overall pick, unless the Bengals decide to go with the top-tier talent and just go talent-based, which is what the Redskins are going to do at pick 2 with Chase Young. I mean, just looking at the picture, man, he is a scary dude. One of the best prospects I've ever been able to look at. I love watching Ohio State play, and seeing him on Ohio State was just insane. He'd always be getting pressure in the backfield, even if it didn't show in the stats. He'd be pressuring the quarterback. He's sacks galore from this guy. I mean, he is everything you want in a modern-day edge rusher, and he has the likes to be, in his first or second year, up there with the Khalil Max and Aaron Donalds. He's that good. He is that solid. He is the #1 prospect. He is this year's Myles Garrett, except better than Myles Garrett was when he came out. The only thing is that when Myles Garrett came out, there wasn't a Joe Burrow in that class, and there wasn't a Cincinnati Bengals who just needed a franchise piece like Joe Burrow. So Chase Young is going to be the pick for the Redskins, and there's pretty much, you can pencil those ones in, or you could use Sharpie. Those 2 picks are pretty much happening, unless barring any kind of trade. Those are what's going to happen. Now at 3, Jeff Okuda to the Lions. Isaiah Simmons had a great game, and a lot of people are mocking him up at 3. I'm not ready to put him at 3 yet. I did have him jumping a lot from my last mock draft, but Okuda is this year's Ramsey, and the thing is that the drop off from him to the second best corner, and probably Fulton, in my opinion, Fulton or Diggs, it's a pretty substantial drop off. Okuda is a tier above everybody else. I think when you look at the Lions, having him and Slay would just be insane on the outside. I think that's something that they're going to want to look at, and I think that that's something they need to do. Slay hasn't been the best corner as we've known him as. I mean, he is getting up there in age for a corner. Corners don't really last too long in the league, so he's up there in his late 20s. So that's something to look at. But other than that, they really don't have anybody else to cover, and having Okuda would really help them because they had a great start to the season, and it just dropped so hard. They need to look to bounce back next year, and obviously a lot of that had to do with injuries and why they couldn't win games. But getting a guy like Okuda would help shut down. I mean, you have a solid D line. You have decent linebackers. I think it's something you can also address in free agency. So at the moment, until we learn of otherwise, I'm keeping Okuda here as well at pick 3. So the first 3 picks are staying the same from my last draft. But pick 4 switching up. Instead of Andrew Thomas, I have the Giants taking Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson. Now, I think that the tackle is such a big need, and I think that it's a big risk not taking a tackle here because Daniel Jones does need to be protected. But when you look at it, we do have Nate Solder. No matter what, unless we get rid of him, he's going to be there. So it doesn't make sense to draft a left tackle when you have a left tackle there because they're not obviously going to play both left tackle. And if Solder's getting paid, he might as well be playing there. And we just have to kind of deal with it and hope that it is. And also, the thing is, the Giants' offense has never been the weak spot this season. They've been able to put up the points. They've been able to do things when healthy. It's just the fact that, Saquon was hurt, Ingram was hurt, and all these different things. Defense was atrocious. Most of them weren't injured. Peppers went down about week 12 and never came back, unfortunately. D-line was solid, but they're young. So we need a linebacker. Alec Ogletree was a good trade because we need it filled the linebacker hole for a couple years, but he was never going to be that piece to get us to be our middle linebacker in a Super Bowl. Isaiah Simmons can be that. I mean, the guy can play safety, slot, nickel. I mean, he is such a versatile weapon, kind of similar to what you have in Jabril Peppers on the top, but put him at linebacker and you're basically getting what everyone hoped Ogletree would be on steroids and more. Simmons can just cover the field so much, and I think he would be a feared presence in the middle. I think it's a huge, huge, huge need for the Giants to help out that defense. And with Okuda gone, you can't get the corner. With Young gone, you can't unless you want to reach on Empanada, you're not getting an edge rusher. Take linebacker and Isaiah Simmons, especially if he grades well at the combine. This is almost a can't-miss prospect as well. I'm loving Isaiah Simmons' game. He had a great game in the Natty, and Isaiah Simmons is going to New York. Now at pick 5, I'm keeping this here, and I heard a lot. The Dolphins fan base is kind of 50-50 on this, which is kind of crazy to me. I thought they would kind of love this move, but I think the injury scares a lot of people. Tua going to the Dolphins. This has been a move that has been mocked for years. Ever since he pretty much got the job at Alabama, people have wanted him on the Dolphins, and they have the chance to get him on the Dolphins. And I think that once you get the combine and the physicals, as long as it grades well, there's nothing to worry about. Without that hip injury this year, he still would be this high of a prospect. The hip injury, yes, it sucks, but I think that you can bounce back from that. I think that with what they're building in Miami, with how much money they have, they're going to be able to surround him with other talent. They're going to be able to protect him. I think he's not going to be thrown into such a bad situation. And if he needs to take a year off, you still have Fitzpatrick under contract for a year. And I think that Tagovailoa's talent will outweigh everything, and Dolphins fans will end up loving him. I know Dolphins fans don't necessarily, it's a 50-50 fan base. I've had a lot of people saying they love Tua, and I have other people saying that there's no way in hell that we're taking Tua at 5. It's 50-50, but until I learn of something otherwise, you could go for an Andrew Thomas here. You can trade down. You can reach for an Empanada. You can even go for a running back. I don't see one going this high, but I think that Tua is going to be the pick here at number 5, unless we hear otherwise. And I think that you should be happy because this is a quarterback that's going to be generational, and he's going to be there for years and years to come. Now at pick 6, I have Jedrick Wills Jr., the tackle out of Alabama, 6'5", 320. He has been a huge riser in a lot of boards, and I put him up there as well. I mean, he's more of a raw prospect than Thomas. Thomas has kind of had the job locked down for a long time, but he's shown so much promise this year. He's done a very, very solid job protecting Tua this year, protecting Mac Jones, and I think that having Wills on any team would be good. I don't have them going quarterback here because personally I don't think that there's a quarterback at least to get at 6 that's worth the 6th pick. You can reach on a guy like the Giants did with Daniel Jones, and because that's their guy. If they have a guy, if Herbert or Love or somebody is their guy, yes, do it. But until I learn otherwise, I think that they need to protect whoever's going to be back there, whether it's Tyrod, whether they sign somebody like Breeze or Bridgewater, or even Brady. I've seen Brady to LA rumors, which is kind of weird to see, but still, I think whoever is going to be there, they need to protect them. Protecting the quarterback has been such a huge, huge need for the Chargers forever, and they need to build this line. Wills can also move into guard if you need him to be. He's very versatile in that sense, but right now I have him listed as a tackle, and I think that that's going to help out the Chargers a lot because I don't think it's worth the risk taking a quarterback right now when there's not a surefire guy. When we learn more about the quarterbacks, I think that we could maybe mock someone here, but personally I'm not going to be doing it. Wills is a great prospect, probably the best tackle in the class as of this moment. I have him going to the Chargers. Now at 7th, even with the Luke Kuechly retirement out of nowhere, I still have Derrick Brown going 7th to the Panthers. And Derrick Brown has the talent to be a top 5 guy. It's just this draft class is so deep and so good that you gonna be able to get him at 7, and it's huge because it's such a good talent. I mean, having him and Brian Burns on the line is gonna be so much fun to watch for Panthers fans for so many years. I think the Panthers are hitting a kind of a reset. You have Rule, you have him for 7 years, I believe, which is huge. And I think that McCaffrey, obviously, he's young. I think you're going to keep Cam Newton for at least a little while and kind of into the next regime until you build a team. But, this team does have a lot of work to do. It's got a lot of work to do on the defense. You now have a big hole in linebacker. You have to re-sign Thompson. Safeties aren't getting any younger, and Eric Reed. You need receiver weapons. Samuel and DJ Moore have proven to be pretty solid. I like DJ Moore a lot. I think you could use another receiver. Tight ends are getting old. You could always use help on the offensive line. There's a lot of holes in this team. I think you go best available here, and I think Derrick Brown's just the most surefire talent on that team. And Derrick Brown's going to be a huge upgrade for what they have there with Kawan Shirt. Getting a couple, Gerald McCoy didn't really fail, or didn't really work out. I mean, he didn't fail, but he didn't work out. Kawan Short, he's good, but he's getting up there in age, and he's getting injured a couple times. Let's get Derrick Brown and just start a new regime right in Carolina. At pick 8, the Cardinals fans are clamoring to turn the card in as soon as possible. Andrew Thomas out of Georgia is going to be the pick, who I personally regard as the best offensive tackle, and it's very much a toss-up between Wills. I kind of put Wills in front of him just because it's kind of the consensus right now, but it's very, very close, and it could go either way. I mean, Dwarfs could even end up jumping above both of them as well. But Andrew Thomas is a beast. When I look at him, I just think of Tyron Smith. Just with all the braces and everything, just he's a beast. He's a behemoth of a man, and to be able to have that guy on the offensive line of the Cardinals, who have just struggled for so long on the offensive line. I mean, you've had failed experiments with Pugh, with Iupati, with Shipley. I mean, the injuries plague this line as well. Humphreys wasn't what you drafted him to be. It's just there's so many missed opportunities. You need a guy who is the consensus top tier talent in Andrew Thomas, and you're going to get that. And Kyler Murray's going to love not having to scramble around for his life to at least have that extra second to breathe and set in for games. You need to protect your franchise quarterback, as he is the shortest quarterback I think we've ever had in the NFL. So Kyler Murray is going to be happy. The Cardinals are going to be happy. Andrew Thomas. Now at pick 9, I still have the Jaguars taking Jerry Jeudy. They could use help in the offensive line. They could help on the edge. I don't really like Empanada to them. I think that they can wait out. Maybe even if they re-sign Ngakoue, it would be more. But obviously, this is just a while back. This isn't what's going to happen in the draft. I'm not doing trades or anything like that. The mock drafts are never what trades are going to be. These are just for fun. These are just to kind of see where prospects go and what would be nice to see. But obviously, trades and everything ruin all of this. But Jerry Jeudy would just be huge to have him with DJ Shark as well. I mean, you have Gardner Minshew. You're just giving him weapons, and that's something he needs. They were able to get into games, and they were able to do well, but they didn't really have the spark. Once people keyed in on Chark as he was getting better and better, they didn't really have anything else. I think having a guy like Jerry Jeudy opposite of him will be huge. It gives multiple weapons. It makes defense focus on the pass game a lot more. Will allow Leonard Fournette to run more. So I think that it's going to be a big help, especially because they had Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns, and that experiment just kind of they kind of blew it up pretty early. So let's start a new one, and your new duo will be Jerry Jeudy and DJ Shark, and I think that's going to be huge. And I think that the jerseys are going to sell out of the blue for Jerry Jeudy, because that's going to be a fun guy to watch. Gardner Minshew and Jerry Jeudy. That team is going to be a young, fun team. Now at the 10th pick, Tristan Dwarfs, the tackle out of Iowa. Another beast. People were worried that he wasn't going to declare because I think there's something about he was supposed to get his degree. That was a promise or something. But he did declare for the draft. I double-checked it before. And I think that the Browns, if they're doing anything right this offseason, which so far nothing has gone right for them with Odell and with the GM and coach firings and even the hiring of Stefanski, I wasn't a big fan of it. But if they're going to do anything right, it's going to be shore up that offensive line. You can't really fix that in the free agency market. Let's go for a guy like Tristan Dwarfs at 10. I mean, everyone knows the biggest problem for the Browns right now is their line. They traded away Zeitler, which was a huge mistake for them. And they paid Greg Robinson and cut him, and then they re-signed him. It's just a big mess. they need somebody that's a surefire talent, and they're going to hope that Tristan Wirfs can be in there. And I personally think that he will be. Big boy, I think he can cover well. Had a great career in Iowa. I think that he's going to be huge for Baker Mayfield or whoever the quarterback ends up being back there, because at this point, no one knows what's happening with the Browns. But the one thing we all know, they need to protect the quarterback, and that's going to be with Tristan Wirfs at 10. Now at pick 11, I have the Jets taking A.J. Epineza, the edge out of Iowa. This one I've kind of tossed around with because the Jets could use a lot of different things. And kind of what I went down to is that I predict that in free agency they're going to sign another receiver because the Crowder thing worked out so well for them last year. Robbie Anderson, he didn't have a great year, but also they didn't really use him too much, which is, I don't think they're going to resign him. You have Enunwa coming back, and I think that Enunwa and Crowder is enough to pass up on a CeeDee Lamb right here and go for a guy in AJ Epineza who's going to be the edge rusher that they desperately want and need. They got rid of Leonard Williams this season because he wasn't getting the pressure from the edge that they wanted him to. He was more of a run-stuffing interior guy, and they need that edge rusher, and that's what they're going to get in Epineza. Their offense is set up well. I mean, Darnold's a solid quarterback. You have Chris Herndon at tight end. They also have another tight end. I'm completely blanking on their other tight end that came in and did well. But, Le'Veon Bell in the backfield. You have some solid receivers. I think that offense is okay enough to wait until the second round. You could take an offensive lineman, but, most of them are gone at this point. Take the best defensive player left on the board at the moment, A.J. Epineza out of Iowa. I think he'd be a solid addition to the New York Jets. And I think that you could just put some green on him, and he'll do pretty well on that edge. So A.J. Epineza is going to be the pick at 11. Pick 12, the Raiders are so happy that CeeDee Lamb has fallen to them at 12, as they are going to start off their move to Las Vegas with a brand new weapon on offense in CeeDee Lamb, 6'2", 195. I mean, he's arguably the best receiver in the class. It's a toss-up between him and Jeudy. I still give the edge to Jeudy at the moment, just because I think that he's got a bigger competition. He's proven more through that. But CeeDee Lamb is a beast, and there's no way around it. He's a very much reminiscent of a Sammy Watkins type, where he's just quick, but he makes amazing catches. And I think that getting a guy like Derek Carr, weapons like that would be huge. Or even if they switch up a quarterback, John Gruden's going to love a guy like CeeDee Lamb. He's going to be what they wanted Antonio Brown to be for them, except a few inches taller and that much faster. So CeeDee Lamb is going to be the pick here for them. And I think that all the Raiders fans, either they're staying in Oakland or they're moving to Las Vegas. Any Raiders fans across the nation are going to love this pick. At pick 13, we're staying at receivers in Henry Ruggs III out of Alabama. Last draft class, I had T. Higgins there, and due to him getting hurt a lot in the bowl game and kind of just comparing things, I switched it up. I went to Henry Ruggs. This is a guy that we're all thinking that he's going to run 4.2 in the draft community, which is huge. A 4.2 on the 40 is going to be a huge, huge thing. We're all going to be talking about that for a long time. But to get an offensive weapon like that next to T.Y. Hilton, who's kind of more of just a stout route runner, yes, 6 foot isn't that tall. You still need a big play receiver. I think you can get that either later in the draft and maybe a guy like Colin Johnson, or you can go in free agency and hopefully get a big guy like that. But I think that you need to go with the best player available for your offense, because the offense really struggled this last season, and that's been because of the lack of receivers. T.Y. Hilton needs somebody else there because he keeps getting hurt, because he's getting targeted. There's been games where he's targeted 15 times, and that's just not – it puts a wear and tear on his body. He's injured every year. We need to get a guy into the Colts system that can work, and I think Henry Ruggs would be a huge, huge upgrade to that wide receiver core. And just the speed will kill. His route running and his speed are so, so good. He's the modern-day Deshaun Jackson is what we're comparing him to, and I think that he's going to be great on the Colts. So let's put him in some blue, get him to the Colts, Henry Ruggs III. At pick 14, the Buccaneers are another team where they can go a lot of different places with this pick, but I'm giving them Christian Fulton out of LSU, DB University. It's called that for a reason. Had a struggle in the bowl game in the national championship, but he's still the second best corner on the board, and I don't think it's that close. I think that Diggs is a pretty solid corner as well, and we'll get to him in a little bit, but Christian Fulton's a very, very solid corner. I think he's going to be very good in the next level. They had a very solid rookie season from, I think it's, I apologies if I mess up the name. I think it's Jamal Dean, I think his name is. I might have just messed up the last name, but he had a very solid rookie season for the Buccaneers, but they have not had a good secondary, a good shutdown corner in so long, and they need to draft high for him. They hoped Vernon Hargreaves would be that. He never was. They got rid of him to Houston. And I think that they need to work on that. Their offense puts up the points, but their defense gives them the points right back. So to get somebody like Christian Fulton to help out would be very, very good for the Buccaneers, and that's who I have him taking here in Christian Fulton. Now at pick 15, he didn't fall too far. T. Higgins, the 6'4" beast out of Clemson. The only thing you really worry about is how many times he's been hurt in the past, but I mean, the talent is there. He can jump ball against any corner in college football, and I think he's going to translate that right to the college or to the NFL game. I mean, 6'4", 215 is a build that we don't see in too many receivers nowadays, or really ever. I mean, you think about it, Megatron was 6'5", and he got the nickname Megatron. So a guy like T. Higgins going to a team like Denver would be huge. Drew Lock, you hope that he is the successor to Peyton Manning because they've been searching and searching and searching for years for that, and they haven't been able to find it. So hopefully Elway has found it with Lock. And the reason you're going to find out is because you drafted Noah Fant last year. Cortland Sutton's been a beast for you guys. He's already a number one receiver in the NFL. Get a guy like T. Higgins. To have Sutton and Higgins as your receiving core, and you have Fant as a tight end, and you have Lindsey in the backfield, I think that's a very solid young offense, and it fits the timeline. You have these young guys, and they're going to grow together in age and in talent. I think it's a team that's going to be very, very good in a couple years. I think T. Higgins is the right pick here for the Broncos. They can go a bunch of different ways, but I have them getting Higgins. At pick 16, this is where Trayvon Diggs is going to end up out of Alabama, the younger brother of Stephon Diggs. I hate saying that every time, but it's kind of something you got to point out because it's the last name. Very, very solid corner out of Alabama. He's had his ups and downs, definitely, but I think he is up there as a top 3 corner in the draft. And the Falcons have needed a corner for a little while. Trufant has kind of taken a big decline for that we didn't really expect him to take. But other than that, I mean, they really have just missed on some corners. They've missed on secondary pieces, especially when guys like Keanu Neal and Deion Jones are just missing a lot of time with injuries the past few years. It's kind of hard to rely on everybody. So you could go a lot of different ways on the defense. I think defense is really where they got to focus. But Trayvon Diggs, I think, is the best fit for them. I think you need somebody opposite of Trufant to at least help him out and hopefully regain his confidence before he completely falls out, which I hate to see because I love Trufant. He was a big combine warrior as well. But Trayvon Diggs is going to be a huge pick for them, and he's going to do great in that NFC South. Now at 17, Grant Delpit out. It says cornerback, but he's really a safety. I think I just didn't change that for some reason, but he's more or less a safety. But the thing that everyone hates about him is the tackling. He showed that he can tackle, and he can hit very hard in that national championship game. He had a great national championship game. 6'3", 203 out of LSU, DB University. It's possible that he doesn't fall past 10, to be honest, if his offseason goes very, very well, because he is that much of a talent. People were thinking of him as a top 5 pick last year, and then this season was just not the best for him. It kind of decreases value, but I think he's still going to be a beast. I still think he's going to be one of the top safeties in the NFL within years, but it's just a matter of developing and making sure that he can tackle right and he's not worried or scared about anything. So I think Grant Delpit's going to be huge for the Cowboys. Mostly, I think he's going to be safety. Obviously, he's going to be safety. So apologies for the cornerback on there, but Grant Delpit's going to be huge for the Cowboys, and if he falls to him, they're going to love it. Now at pick 18, the second Dolphins pick of the draft, Kayvon Chasen, the edge out of LSU. That's another mistake. I don't know why it says Wisconsin there. So I apologize for this. This is very poor. But look, Chasen, there's not much to say about the guy. He is a physical freak of nature. I mean, the guy is huge. He gets pressure around the edge. He creates just opportunities for other players to make sacks, and he gets it in there as well. So having him and Christian Wilkins as a young defensive line would be very, very good for the Dolphins. They need help on offense and defense. So far, they have a quarterback, and they now have a edge rusher. I think that's a good start for them. They have all that money in free agency. They'll address a bunch of needs. But Chasen is one of those guys where he's just going to be a physical freak in the next level, and I think that's something big for the Dolphins. So Chasen going to Miami with Tua Tagovailoa is a good start for the franchise moving into the next decade. Now at 19, the Las Vegas Raiders are going to take the next best quarterback on the board, and I have it being Jordan Love, the quarterback out of Utah State. A lot of people are falling in love, no pun intended, with Jordan Love, and it's good to see why, and I think it's because of kind of what the Giants did last year with Daniel Jones. You have a small school quarterback who maybe his stats don't look too well, but when you break down the film, you realize he's making great plays, great throws, great decisions. It's just a matter of talent around him. I mean, the Midwestern Conference isn't something that we all are enamored with. Utah State is not a college that most people are going to go to if they're a high recruited prospect. But Love has proven that he is a solid quarterback, and I think that he'll be that at the next level, especially when you put him in a system like the Raiders, where you don't have to throw him right into the seat. I think you can let Carr play, and once Carr starts to show that poor play, which happens every year, unfortunately, you can throw Love in there, and I think Gruden's going to love this guy. Especially with that new weapon, CeeDee Lamb as well. I think he's going to be a very, very good starter in the next league, in the next level. I just hope that he can go on and do great things because, I mean, I really like his game, and I like him a little bit better than Herbert. I think Herbert's falling on a lot of people's boards because he's just shown inconsistency. I think Love is going to do a lot better than what people are expecting, and there's no reason that Raiders fans should be unhappy going into next season unless you live in Oakland, then I understand it. But getting CeeDee Lamb and Jordan Love, yes, you need help on defense. You could spend some money in free agency for that, draft later. But this is a tandem that you're going to have for years and years to come. Love to Lamb is going to be a catchphrase that people in Vegas are going to love. And I'm saying Love too much in this, so I'm just going to move on to the next pick. Jordan Love at 19 to the Raiders. Pick 20 is going to be, I'm not even going to try pronouncing his first name anymore. I'm not even going to pronounce his name that much. Yetur Gross-Matos. That's the only time I'm going to be saying it. He's a beast. I mean, another guy where he just knows how to get around the edge. He's very, very quick with it. But he's got a lot of strength as well, to where he's not limited to just powering through. He can finesse around. He can use a swim move. I think that being at Penn State is one of those schools where it's kind of hit or miss on their prospects just because you don't know the talent. It's not an SEC, but it's not a bad conference as well. Still a very, very solid team. And I think that, like the Jaguars, I said before, they could go edge rusher earlier, but I think that this is the best place to go. They got a weapon on offense in Jerry Jeudy already, so getting a guy like him is going to add so much, especially with an aging Calais Campbell and unfortunately probably Ngakoue hitting free agency this offseason. You're going to need help on the edge, and that's what he can give you. So at pick 20, you know who you're getting. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name because I butcher it every time. At pick 21, one of my personal favorites. I hope so much that he succeeds at the next level. I just hope it's not for this team, as the Eagles are going to be taking Laviska Shenault Jr. out of Colorado. His injuries are the things that worries everyone, and that's why he's going to be so low. But his talent is he's just such a fun guy to watch. 6'2", 220, but he's fast for his height and speed, or his height and weight. I mean, he's very, very quick, but he can also get up and make jump balls, make people miss. I mean, he is a very, very solid receiver. He's not Jerry Jeudy, he's not CeeDee Lamb. It's a very different game. This is such a deep wide receiver class. A lot of receivers are going to be taken in the first round because of how deep it is and how needy receivers are. You need 3 good receivers on your team if you want to succeed in today's day and age of the NFL, and that's warranted by the Patriots' early exit. So Shenault is going to be a huge, huge pick for the Eagles going into next season with Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson on the decline. This is going to be a huge pick for you guys. At pick 22, Justin Jefferson, another receiver off the board from DB University, but this time we're going to wide receiver, and that's because he had such an amazing, amazing college football playoffs. I mean, Joe Burrow has made these guys look great, and they've made Joe Burrow look great. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Terrence Marshall, they've just had insane years, and let alone insane playoffs that's got them the national championship, and Jefferson was a huge reason for that. He had so many great catches, just breaking people on routes. Jamar Chase was a star as well, but I think that Justin Jefferson went from a second-rounder to solidifying himself a first-round ticket. I mean, the Bills could use a weapon like this. You have Beasley, you have John Brown. Get a big guy like a 6'3" Justin Jefferson out of LSU, and Josh Allen will have a field day with these guys on offense, especially when you have your running back in Singletary. Looks like you have your tight end in Knox. You drafted good offensive linemen, so your offensive line's looking pretty solid. That offense was capable of beating the Texans this year. It was an unfortunate call on Cody Ford, which I don't want to get into too much anymore, but Justin Jefferson's going to be a great pick for them here. He's going to fit in so well with what they're running, and Josh Allen to Jefferson with some deep bombs is going to look so good in the NFL. I can't wait to see it if it happens. So Justin Jefferson going to the Bills out of LSU. At pick 23, this is where Herbert's going to end up falling because the Patriots aren't passing about a quarterback now. We're not even sure if Brady is on the roster at this point. Justin Herbert out of Oregon, 6'6", 237. I think Belichick can bring the best out of him. McDaniels is back, so that's a big help for whoever they're going to have there. He is somebody that would have been a top 3 pick if he went into the draft last year. He stayed in an extra year, ended up biting him in the butt. He's now going to be the 4th quarterback taken in my mock draft. And it didn't bite him in the butt too much because instead of going to a team like the Giants who's really rebuilding, he's going to a guy who's a team that's a Super Bowl contender almost every year in New England. Obviously, they're kind of starting their rebuild if Brady leaves. But Herbert is going to be the new face of the franchise, and I think he'll be doing very well if he gets well coached. He just needs to be more consistent. And really, there's no flaws with his actual game. It's just the consistency. There's games where he just looks like he doesn't have it, and there's games looks like he's the next coming up Trevor Lawrence as well. So he's got the height, he's got the size. He looks like an NFL quarterback. He's just got to piece it all together on a consistent basis, and I hope he can do it in New England. I think he will. So Herbert's a huge pick. Every year we have quarterbacks mocked to New England. It never happens, but let's try this year. Justin Herbert to 23, where the Patriots are picking. Now at pick 24, Saints need a linebacker so bad. Demario Davis is a beast, don't get me wrong, but he's more outside. You need that inside linebacker. They've been running Manti Te'o and Canzalone. They need a linebacker to run the middle, and Kenneth Murray's going to be that for them out of Oklahoma. A lot of people have him as a lower grade just because nobody likes the Big 12, and I understand, but just look at the picture. That dude is ripped. He is huge. He is going to be a solid linebacker in the NFL, and I completely believe that. I think that the Saints would be stupid to pass up on him for something else. A lot of the receivers are kind of off the board, so it's not really worth risking reaching for a receiver right now. I think that you should just go with what you need on your team, and they're a Super Bowl contender. They really are. Get your linebacker in Kenneth Murray, and he will shore up that defense a lot better than what you have just thrown in there at the moment. So Kenneth Murray to the Saints, not much else to say. He's going to be a great fit. 25th overall, I have the Vikings going for Tyler Biadasz out of Wisconsin. He was one of my favorite offensive linemen coming into the season. He kind of fell because it's such a big need for tackles nowadays instead of interior. A lot of people have Nick Harris going above him. I'm still a believer in Biadasz. I think that the Vikings could still use another lineman. The reason I have O lineman there is, yes, he was the center at Wisconsin. I think that you can move Bradbury around, or I think you can move Biadasz around. I think that there's very, very much versatility here. But the Vikings are not too many pieces away. I think you need to protect Kirk Cousins. I think you need to protect whoever's going to take over for Kirk Cousins in the next year or two. Yes, you can go for a corner here, but do you want to reach on a guy like a CJ Henderson or I can't even think of another name off the top of my head, but you could reach for a corner here if you really want to. You could trade down, you could trade up. I think if you're sitting here at 25, you go for the best guy that's going to help what you need now, and that's going to be Biadasz out of Wisconsin. Now pick 26, the tackle out of USC, Austin Jackson, 6'6", 310. He's been a high riser for a lot of people too, and he just had a very, very solid season for USC. When you have a freshman quarterback in the back, you got to protect him because he's going to make some mistakes, and Jackson did just that for them. So when you look at the Dolphins draft, this is what they got. They got Tua Tagovailoa. They got Austin Jackson, who's going to help protect Tua Tagovailoa, and then they help out the defense with Chasen. I think it's a solid draft for the Miami Dolphins, at least the first round. I think it's very, very good for them, and I think that they can move on from there. I think they can get a lot of people for agency as well. So Austin Jackson, not much to say. They need offensive line help. There's nobody on the offensive line that needs to be there next year, and Jackson's going to be a staple for them. So he would have been great with Tunzel. We don't need to get into that, though. Jackson going to Miami. At pick 27, Xavier McKinney, who I think is a more well-rounded safety out of him and Delpit, but I think Delpit just got the talent more. McKinney's a beast, though. He's going to be going to the Seahawks here out of Alabama. He had a great season. There's times where he just looked like the commanding officer on that defense. He just had solid coverage seals. He can hit players very, very well. I think he's going to be more of a strong safety than a free safety in the NFL, and I think he's very, very good at what he does. Going to a team like the Seahawks where they get killed on deep balls, Flowers can't stick with people. Shaquille sometimes doesn't make up for it. They got to make up ground on the defensive side because Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf are pretty much all you have. The running backs are always getting injured. It sucks. There's fumbling issues, but this team has a lot of issues, but yet they're so good. Russell Wilson is just one of the best quarterbacks of our generation, man, and people don't give him respect. We got to get some Legion of Boom back. You have Shaquille Griffin, which is it looks like he's going to be a staple of the corner position. Let's get a safety in Xavier McKinney to really help out that secondary. And I think he's just the best fit for them right now. So McKinney going to the Seahawks. Now at pick 28, the Ravens, no matter what, need to take a receiver here. The only way they don't is if Matt Judon signs somewhere elsewhere in free agency, and then you have no edge rusher. Because Judon was the only reason why they had pressure on the edge. He was alone, and when somebody stopped Judon, there was no pressure. That's just how the season went. The Ravens had such a great regular season. They got shown up in the playoffs. I think it was just because they weren't prepared. They thought they were invincible. They weren't. And it really showed. Lamar Jackson needed to throw the ball. He wasn't able to throw the ball accurately. He was able to throw for yards. Yes, he was able to get the statistics, but when you watch the game, it wasn't too hot of a game for everyone. And the reason why is because you can't be throwing to Willie Snead 10 times a game and expect a lot out of him. He was a number 3 option on the Saints when he was there. So getting a guy like Brandon Ayuk is going to be a very, very solid pickup. I think he's the next best receiver on the board. He had an amazing season taking over for N'Keal Harry as that number 1 at ASU. With a freshman quarterback, putting up the numbers he did was just something to be really, really enamored with. And I think that seeing him in the Senior Bowl, getting that invite, I think it's going to help him a lot as well. So I think Ayuk will end up sneaking into that first round because the Ravens are so receiver heavy. I think that's what they need to focus on, if not in free agency, then in the draft. I think Ayuk will be a great fit for the system. I think he kind of fits it well. Jaden Daniels plays similar to what Lamar Jackson does, not as run heavy, but it's a similar offense. So I think Ayuk will fit in well, and they need weapons. So Ayuk to the Ravens. Now at pick 29, this is just a prediction kind of thing. This is my own predictions. I don't really see, no matter what order these next 4 people are in, the teams I mean, I don't see any difference in whether, if the Chiefs pick 32 or whether they pick 29. I think they're getting the same guy, vice versa for every team. So at pick 29, I have the Chiefs pick in here, and that's going to be Jonathan Taylor, the running back out of Wisconsin. One of the best college football seasons we've ever seen out of a running back, and he didn't really get the recognition that he deserved because, everyone was having great seasons, but, there was a stat where it showed him compared to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's Heisman season, and Taylor had beat him in most stats. It was just the fact that he didn't get the recognition because everyone else, the Burrows and the Youngs of the league were just doing so well. But Taylor's going to be a beast. The only thing that worries you is that he's had so many carries in college that you might want to look at DeAndre Swift just because he has less tread on his tires. I think Taylor's the best talent in the draft, though, and I don't even think it's too close. I think that Taylor is – I'm a big Jonathan Taylor fan. I think he's going to be great on the next level. And I mean great when I say great. I think he's going to be great on the next level. I think he's going to have that Josh Jacobs impact where, yes, he's taken late because, running backs aren't really taken first round anymore nowadays. But he's going to come in and just have immediate impact. Taylor will be huge for the Chiefs. The run game is just so atrocious to watch. You don't know whether it's Darrell or Damian Williams in at times, and it doesn't even matter because they do not run the ball well. When you add an aspect of running the ball to this offense with Mahomes, Kelsey Hill, Watkins, Mecole Hardman, the possibilities are endless for Andy Reid. You can do so many things with this offense. So get a run game. It's desperately needed in Kansas City, especially with the defense playing well. Go get yourself a running back, especially the best one talent-wise in the class, Jonathan Taylor out of Wisconsin. Now, pick 30, I have the 49ers taking C.J. Henderson out of Florida. Just a solid corner. Ahkello Witherspoon is doing pretty solid. Sherman's getting up there in age, but he's still playing, so he's playing at a high level, so I think he's doing well. But getting a guy like Henderson will really help. You could never have too many corners. I think that's the biggest need that they have at the moment. I think that he will help success Sherman. I also think that he will kind of groove in well. You don't have to integrate him directly into the starting offense, starting defense. Apologies. But C.J. Henderson would be a great fit for them. Help out the secondary, make that defense scarier than it already is, and just see how far you can go with this team because the 49ers are already one of the best teams in the NFL, and I don't see that slowing down because their team is so young. So they're going to keep doing well. I think Henderson can really help them with that. Now, pick 31, the Packers are getting a meaty boy in Mekhi Becton out of Louisville, 6'7", 369. Weight concerns are a legit thing for this guy. They've put him on diets and stuff to kind of make him watch his weight and everything to be at a steady pace. But just look at him, man. He is huge. I would be terrified if I was an edge rusher on the other side. Obviously he's a power blocker. No one's thinking that he's a quick feet guy. But I think that the Packers could just use offensive line help where they can get it right now because their regime of having one of the best offensive line is slowly dying out. You still have Bakhtiari, but guys like Bulaga and stuff, they're getting hurt, and other guys are just retiring or leaving. So you look at Becton, he's going to be a staple there because he is so big. I think he's a staple there because no one can move him. If I don't think he can lose a job because I don't know how you're going to get him out of the building. I mean, this guy is enormous, and he's going to help Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be Aaron Rodgers' new best friend to protect him and make sure that he doesn't get any more injuries. I think Becton would be a huge pick here. And at pick 32, yes, I do have the Titans projected to win the Super Bowl, in my opinion. This is going up the same day as the game, so this could not age well very, very quickly. But I'm a big believer in Tannehill, and I have the Titans taking Jovan Kinlaw. I don't know if Kinlaw is making it this far. I really don't. I think he's more of a top 20 prospect, but there's just teams that have bigger needs than D-tackle, because D-tackle is kind of a lost art. You need it to pressure the middle, but it's not sexy. It's not really going to get you stats. It's really just impact. And Kinlaw is going to give you that impact at 6'6", 310. He's gonna beast out. He's a very, very solid player, and I think that he's just honestly, I don't know if 6'6", 310. Now that I'm looking at it, I think it's a little weird. So I'll keep talking about it. I'm gonna look it up as I'm saying it, but I mean, Cam Wake isn't very, very good on the outside. He's obviously old, but you still need pressure in the interior. Jarrell Casey and him would be enormous to go against. I think that interior lineman would be very, very scared to go against him. No, 6'6", 310 is actually his height and weight. That's insane to me. I didn't even realize. Like, I saw that and I was like, that might be a mess up. No, he's really that big. So having him and Casey in the middle would be crazy. Harold Landry on the outside. The Titans would be going back to, if Tannehill keeps up the level he is, Henry keeps up the level he is, this is a scary team, and they're just adding to it Jovan Kinlaw. But with pick 32 happening, that means that is the end of this draft. This is obviously a long video. We're going up on 42 minutes. So if you stuck out the whole way through, I hope that you were playing some video games or eating something and doing some homework or something while you're doing it, because sitting through this for that much time is a lot. I understand it, but I thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like. If you did not like the video, make sure you just refresh the page, go through it again, and see if you like it the second time. Go ahead and subscribe as well. We're getting closer and closer to 200 subscribers, which is just really cool for me. I just want to keep building this. I love talking with everybody about the draft, and this is my favorite time of the year for the NFL. It's Super Bowl time and off-season time. It's so much fun to just follow through with everything. So leave your comment down below. Who did you agree with my pick? Did you disagree? Let me know in the comment section below who you think that your team should be picking. I love conversating in there, so I read all the comments. I'll be down there commenting on everything. So make sure you do that. Leave some suggestions for what your team is, and the ones with the most likes are going to be the ones that I do for the 7-round mock drafts. But without further ado, that is going to be it for the end of my mock draft 2.0, and I will see you guys in the next video.